Welcome to Reseller Recap, where we talk all things reselling across multiple platforms. Join us for real-life discussions on how we crush the elusive work-life balance. Grab a coffee and join us now.
Hi guys, welcome back to Reseller Recap with Jen, Emily, and Morgan. Today we're going to talk about an interesting topic, a topic that comes up a lot in the reseller world, and that's numbers. There are people out there sharing their numbers, and it definitely gives people like a draw to wanting to start this, especially I'm sure with like it being January. There's a lot of new sellers that are coming in and coming into the group, and we see online. But it also causes some FOMO. So we're going to kind of talk about that a little today and what that really means. And just because you're seeing orange bars, does that really mean anything? So
Yeah.
who wants to start on this very,
What a
spicy
fun topic.
topic?
I will. Yeah. So I'll start. So we were having a conversation because I asked Emily and Jen how do they feel about sharing their numbers because it's such a taboo. It's either taboo or it's not. Like
Mhm.
depending on the community that you're in. Like there's a lot of communities who are constantly boasting their numbers, whether it be on social media or even in person. They're like, "Oh, I'm a 7-figure seller. I'm this, I'm
Yeah.
that." Like it's like their identity. I
Mhm.
hate to say that, but it is.
No, it is.
And then you have people who like don't talk about it at all. Like, but you know that they sell because of the things that they talk about on that they're experiencing on the platform and so on and so forth. So like for me, it's always been one of those things that it's like it's taboo. Like you don't talk about it. We can say, hey, we're having great sales days, we're having bad sales days, but you're not like, hey, I had a 10K sales day. What did you do? Like
Yeah.
it's just not what at least I feel like in our like friend group circle, it's just not what we do. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I don't know. It's just something that I was thinking about because I struggle between being like I'm all about transparency, especially on like YouTube and like the content that we create, because I want people to come into this space knowing everything that I didn't know, you
Mhm.
know? But then you struggle because it's like, well, if I put my numbers out there, this 8-figure seller may be like, oh, well, because she doesn't make eight figures, she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
And that's where I think it's already hard enough being a woman in this space. And then you add that layer to it.
Mhm.
And so I don't know, it's hard. But then like you guys know me and you guys are like, well, she's like the only person I know who reads all of the terms of service. So obviously she knows what she's talking about, but not
Yeah.
everybody knows that. So like, I don't know. But anyway,
Morgan
what do
loves
you
a
guys think?
rule. She loves a memo, an email, a new
Oh
rule.
yeah. Oh yeah. I'm constantly sending screenshots like, did you guys see this memo? Did you see this?
I have to put my phone on do not disturb because when they get on a topic, it's like 10 missed messages, 40 missed messages. You're like, and then I'll get on and be like, wait a minute, what? And they're like, scroll up to the top,
Sorry.
And you're just like scrolling.
Yeah.
Me and Jen have a bad habit of doing that while we're in community calls too. And it'll pop up on Emily's computer and she'll be like, stop talking.
Stop talking about we're talking. Just talk. We're like, no,
And
but we need to like, do we tell people out loud what is going on, or do we try to solve this first and then come with like the good information? Like that's how I felt today. I was like, wait a minute, I guess I should tell you guys all these things that are happening and stuff. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I saw Corey, who was in this space. He got
Yes.
on YouTube and shared his numbers. And I feel like, wow, that's amazing. He did that. And I think it gives a very realistic look if you want to share. But if you go through his comments, there's a lot of negativity. It
Yes.
undermined him in general because other people
Mm,
are doing better. And I feel like it's very immature, honestly. I mean,
mhm.
for arbitrage, his sellers were not for us. We're like, oh, I'm not working that hard for those returns because we're in arbitrage. We get the
yeah,
best returns on our products. But I think some of the responses to me feel very immature to look at someone else's business and be like, I can do better without knowing their situation, their credit, their who's
1000%.
working with them, bad
Yeah.
vibes.
Yes.
I I started sharing all of my numbers a long, long time ago. I shared orange bars, I shared sales days, and in the community, that was a really big thing. In the my
Mhm.
personal community, we would share like I had to say, and I want to hear if people are having groundbreaking days, but also I think so many people that was just not a focus anymore. We just want to be consistent.
Yeah.
And so it became less and less about one big number and just being consistent through the year. So I don't know, I feel like we kind of moved away from that, and it's something that I don't care to know. If I listen to you talk for 5 minutes, I'll know if you're actually selling or not.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I feel like I'm not having to see orange bars because orange bars we know doesn't mean profit at all. It could mean
Yes.
loss. So I think hearing people talk on a subject matter is much better than an arbitrary number. But in this community, that's very flashy to have
It
that
is.
number.
Well, and
That
it's
was a good
gross
way that you
versus
just
net. Like, I don't think anybody ever thinks that through. I think especially when you're new, you're like, wow, they made $100,000 this month, or they made 1,000, 10,000. No, like that's what they sold. That is not
right.
taking out the fees that Walmart and Amazon are going to charge. That's not taking out the shipping. That's not taking out the cost of the product, let alone your cost for like shipping supplies or sending it to FBA, or like you're taking out nothing. That is just straight sales numbers. And that's great. Like there are literally communities that are built on that. Like I think of like at Prosper last year, which that's coming up again, like $1 million seller network. You cannot be in that community unless you're $1 million seller.
Mhm.
And I just like walking around that show and everybody's like, "Oh, are you part of the $1 million sellers?" I'm like, "Nope." And I don't want to be. I
Jen,
don't want to be and I don't need to be.
like middle finger, like
Yeah, like because that's not my people. That doesn't serve my family and my lifestyle at this point. Like maybe
Yeah.
in my 20s when I didn't have a family and I didn't have responsibilities that I do now, like sure that would have been something I wanted to be part of. But at this point in my life, like I need to do what is best and serves my family and meets our needs and like lets our family function the way that it functions. So
right.
like I
Yes.
feel weird in the community because they do like people will ask like, "Oh my gosh, you sold that much?" And I was like, "Yeah, but some of you are doing like WFS only or FBA only, and I'm doing merchant." And like, how many
Mhm.
people want to have to merchant fulfill?
Not
Like
many.
so I can't really you can't compare. It's really impossible to do that. Like I just want people to be successful, whatever success looks like for them.
Yeah.
I think, Emily, you put
And
that was a really good word that you used, immature. That's what it feels like it's a dick measuring contest. Whenever like somebody's like, "Oh, well, these are my numbers. Well, these are my numbers. Well, these are my numbers."
Yeah.
Like, who has the best numbers? Like, does it matter?
When I sat down with one of my friend's sons, and he's in college, or he was a senior when we sat down because he had saw everything and was like, told her, I want to get into Amazon. And she's like, look, one of my friends does this. Um, can we like sit down? I think you need to talk to her because I know she's done well with this. And so I gave him an honest opinion. I was like, here, this is how this really is going to look and work. And can you do this in your dorm room? You know,
when you get into certain circles, they glorify overextending yourself
yeah,
financially and physically, and I think that's where it becomes a much bigger issue because these people go bankrupt
yeah,
and
Mhm.
people don't have money to pay the bills that they pay, and so it is a big problem, it can be, and also when you share numbers, sometimes you're sharing such a small portion of a business,
yeah,
and I personally don't feel like I can anymore. We were talking about this beforehand because people so many people are doing better than me. And then they'll be like, "Well, why is she sharing online? Because I'm doing better than her," and
Right.
it'll feel like it's disqualifying.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's just not something either that I care about. Like I want to be selling. I need to be selling, but I don't have to be the best in the room. Like that's
Yeah.
not a goal for me.
But
Yeah.
also
I
some of
agree.
those people that share those big numbers that are like, "Oh, I sold this, and so take my course." They have VAs doing all of it. They have people behind the scenes that work
Yeah.
for them, so they actually are not. they might have their name and they might have started out selling, but they're not people that are still selling. And I can, again, you can always tell by the content and the way they're like answering questions, or like you said, give me 5 minutes with them. I can tell you if they've actually been selling the last 3 months.
Right. It's always those people who are sharing orange bars who are
Yeah.
then charging $5,000 to talk to them.
Yeah.
They're
Yes.
leveraging that to, to really be able to charge people. And that's where it becomes such a bigger issue because we have people all the time in my community who they've taken the course, learn nothing. That doesn't mean it's always that person's fault,
Yeah.
but it feels very not good.
I know.
So this is coming up because there's this Facebook group that I'm part of, and this lady was asking if she should quit her job to do reselling full time, or at what point, like, where should her savings be before she quits her job? And like, for me, I've never recommended to people to quit their job just because, like, that income that you're getting from your job is funding, whether it be your bills or it be, your reselling business. Once that funding goes away, now you're pulling from your business to pay for your bills and trying to scale and or maintain your business. And it's just hard. And at the end of the day, like, people don't think about it this way, but this is really like a commission based job when you think about it. And so it's hard to know month to month where you're going to be if you have bills to pay. Yes, you can sell this much. And if your ROI is this and minus fees, you can expect to get this. But anything can happen on these platforms. You can get suspended over nothing, terminated, suppressed, and all of your big sales months go down the toilet. And now you're trying to hurry up and pivot to find something else because your bills don't stop just because these platforms do.
Yeah.
And so I was explaining that on this group, and I was telling them, especially because I feel like because I got laid off of my job a year ago, or almost a year and a half ago now, that it was extremely hard for me to switch from like having that consistent income to now I'm having this like commission based job, which is based on how hard I hustle essentially. And also, like, to take into account, like, I have 7 kids and they're in sports and they're in activities, and then on top of that I have the reselling, and then I was also doing coaching and content. So there was all these things that were pulling away from my time from selling. So it's like, yeah, I want to be transparent. Like, when people ask me, like, can they make money doing this? Yes, you can, absolutely. Can you live off of this? Yes, you can, absolutely. But like, for me personally, I got burned out really quick because I was doing everything. And like, that was kind of, I got to the point where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, and also, like, are you a real reseller if you don't get to the point of like, what am I doing? Well, I don't want to do this
If you
anymore.
don't do that every 4 to 6 weeks, you are not actually selling.
Oh, like 4 to 6 business days.
Like, for real. And so I had to like really reevaluate everything that I was like doing. And I was like, you know what? I actually, as much as I hated, having like a corporate job and all of the things that come along with that, I really appreciated the consistency in a paycheck. And not to mention, health insurance is so expensive when you're not getting it through an employer. Like, we were spending almost $1,000 a month, and that alone was killing me. And then we had everything go wrong with our house. All, like, everything was happening all at one time, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I feel like I'm drowning. Was it really that bad? No, but we're
It
always dramatic.
was. It was.
It was always like one thing at like, oh,
I was like, you could be Kurt. Like,
like, it was a lot. So I was like, I'm gonna go back to work. But I'm still here. I'm still reselling. I'm still coaching. I'm still making content. But for me, like, I just only being a commission based job, it wasn't something that I wanted to do. But like, for example, Emily, like, you've only ever done like jobs like reselling and stuff like this, where that's how you made your money. So I don't know. Some people can transition into that very easily, very smoothly, and have no issue with it. Some people can't. I like control and consistency. And unfortunately, that doesn't really exist in this world.
Yeah.
So I went back to what I knew was consistent while still having the inconsistency. But yeah.
Well, and we had the whole conversation of, okay, like if I switch to doing this full time, like I need to be make sure I'm making what I was making when I worked, and so
Yeah.
like, that's a big thing. But also take into account, okay, if I was making or having a regular job, what tax brackets that going to push us in? Then what happens with childcare with our son? Like who's
Right.
picking him up, who's dropping him off, what's going on with that? We're paying for like extra daycare, extra, like classes, extra whatever. And so I also kind of like took that down in the numbers, kind of that helped
Mm-hmm.
us figure out even back when I stopped my corporate job, when we were looking to start our family and switched to nannying. Like that was what I did to be able to stay home with my son. And I was like, look, I'm actually making more than I did in my corporate job because we'd be paying 15 grand a year minimum for childcare and
For
we'd be
daycare.
never with our child and never raising our kid and what's our priority. And it was funny. I was doing some work last night and he's on punishment right now. Like, so he has no TV. So he's been doing like the hidden picture, like, remember the
Mm-hmm.
highlights, like, hidden pictures? He has a bunch of those
Oh,
books that
yeah,
he
yeah,
refuses to do, but guess who's doing them now? Cause he's nothing better to do. So he's sitting in my office, like working with me. And he's like, Mom, is there ever a time you're not working? And I was like, well, not really, bud. I said, this is what comes with having your own business. Like, unless like there's nobody else to do it for me. I'm the only one that can do it. I don't have like a job with like daddy that like he's done at this time and then he's done, somebody else takes over and does it. So I said,
Yep.
what? I get to be room mom in your class. I get to pick you up. I get to drop you off. I get to be at your baseball stuff. I get to be at your basketball stuff. Like there's trade offs. And he's like, yeah, I don't know if I ever want to own my own business. So and I
period.
was like,
That's
but
fair.
like I said, and that's something you can consider someday. I said,
Yeah.
wait till you're an adult. You need to figure out what works for you. But like I don't like when people like inflate things, lie about things, or try to trick people into this industry. I just don't feel like it's necessary. And I feel like people lose a lot of money. And then I think that's also why people frown on this industry because they don't really see the reality behind it. And
Right.
like
Yep.
it's realistic. And we were also like kind of talking before and said, hey, maybe this should actually be an episode. Like I don't at this point like have a course or help people or teach people or anything. I just only sell. And that's what works for me for now. Like, and maybe at some point, and yes, I've been asked to like come up with stuff and share my ideas, but I enjoy just the selling. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
right now that's what I want to do. But I would never stop selling because I don't feel like I want to ever not know what's going on and like
Right.
people the wrong thing or teach people the wrong way. And so that really bothers me because I had people ask me like, hey, what do you think of my content and stuff? And I was like, I don't follow it. I don't like
Don't
it.
ask Jen what she thinks unless you want to know the real answer.
I
Period.
cannot lie. I cannot lie to
Period.
your face. I really just can't. Like,
Period.
look, I think you're lying to people. Like, you're telling
Yeah.
people to do something that one is against terms of service. They're going to lose money. They're going to lose their account. And that's great. You made your $400 off of them taking your course, but you taught them how to do this incorrectly. And I
Yep.
have a problem with that because they're like, oh, well, you never comment and you never. And I was like, yeah, why am I going? Do you want me to actually publicly blast you out there? Because I can, but I'm not going to, I'm not going to. Someday, when I'm done with this industry, I will take them all down and I will tell you my honest.
Our tell-all book that we
I will
always talk
tell you all
about.
the things that they are lying and behind the scenes,
Exactly.
But until
Yeah.
I know. Like that's why I'm like I love like when I see them having all their drama online against each other. I'm like I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I'm reading, I'm scrolling, I'm messaging Emily and Morgan.
I think
However, I'm not getting involved in it because it's just like a peeing competition. Like everybody's just like peeing. Calm down. But I'm also not gonna lie to you if you ask me to my face what I think of your stuff. I'm gonna tell you the truth.
Yeah.
So that's
And
that.
that's why I love the community so much too, though, because like this is a moment for you, Emily,
Okay.
because like I mean, all three of us, we've been in the community teaching, but like obviously Emily does the bulk of the teaching, and there's been times where like she may say something and it turns out like, hey, actually it just came out this is against terms of service or whatever. And like one thing I really appreciate is that you always circle back and you're like, actually don't do that. I know I told you guys before that this was okay, but actually I talked to somebody or
This
whatever, and
changed.
no,
You are
it's wrong.
changed.
Yes,
Like
yes,
99% of the time it changes, and like you
yes.
don't know until you know.
Until
And
you know. And like, but I really appreciate the transparency though, because like a lot of these like content creators will never say anything. They'll
yeah.
tell you to do that. And then like, that's it. So you think this whole time, like, oh, well, you know, crazy flipping mom said to do this. And like, that's it. And then they get their account shut down. And they're like, well, you told me to do that. And that, I mean, yeah, it's a whole thing in this community right now. So I really, really, really appreciate how like
Yeah.
you also encourage the community to be transparent as well. Like,
Yeah.
hey, like it is what it is. And like you said, Jen, everything is constantly changing and evolving and sometimes devolving, if that's a word, on these platforms. And like it's just something that we are constantly doing is pivoting, pivoting, pivoting. So yeah, I really appreciate that. Also, if you're not in the Crazy Flippin' Mom community, you should be.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
people that have actually stuck around in this industry, like Emily's been around. Well, I mean, what's this? Your 8th year. This is going to be my
Yeah,
5th.
I was gonna say, like I rarely get involved and actually say things almost never online, but those people won't be here long
No.
because and
Yeah.
that's one thing I'll say about Brandon and I. Let me toot my own horn some more. I was just telling Brandon, like, we have the best kids. I'm not kidding you. My kids are like amazing character, integrity. They're awesome. And he's like, that's because we're good people. And I think you can't fake that, right?
Yeah.
You
Hmm.
either are or you're not.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Like, thank God our parents are good people too. We're Midwest nice. And that's why we're here because we
Yeah.
don't have any skeletons in the closet, right?
Right.
We want you to win. We want you to succeed. We're not trying to. So many people, I'm like, don't quit your job. Don't join my community. Let's send them a refund because they can't do this. There's so much that happens behind the scenes that's just, it is an industry that grabs the cash. It's like cash grab,
Hmm.
Yeah.
so many people make money on courses and then it muddies the water,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
oh, I'm making more money on courses than actually doing it.
Yes.
And then I think sometimes it just exposes bad character, and that all comes to the top. You don't even have to shine light on it. It all comes out.
Hmm.
And the industry's small. Like everybody knows everybody. So
That's true.
you mess over one person, everybody's going to hear about it. So
Hmm.
you see a lot of people leave because of that, because they messed up. They were honest, and that's why I appreciate people like you guys who are willing to share. It is really not about just the numbers. I
Yeah.
was today on my call. I can't go shop. I don't have any money. We're trying not to rely on credit. So I have to wait for payouts. And then those payouts, I have 4 kids. I'm the primary bread earner. So that money goes a long way. And I will never, never see me like $1 million months or years because I don't have the cash flow for that. And my kids, if I were making millions, it's all going to the kids. It's not going back
Yeah.
to this.
Yeah.
Everybody needs shoes constantly.
Yes.
That's what's happening in my house. So
If I do, you guys will see me go on instead of a month-long trip, a year-long
we
trip, and
won't
I'm
see
keeping it.
you at all.
You
You'll
won't
just
see me
be like,
again.
"Peace out." There will be signs of Jen's
There
success.
will be signs. Yeah. She
But
might not say anything, but there will be signs.
I
There
think
will be
it's good
signs.
to share that though, because then it becomes relatable to other people who are like, oh, it's
Yeah.
valid just to make $1,000, $2,000,
Yeah.
$3,000 here.
But that kind of money, like, still makes
Absolutely.
a big impact to majority of the world. The majority of
Absolutely.
the world, $1,000 extra a month. Like that's what like my friends give me a hard time because I use those apps like Fetch, Amazon Shopper Panel. I bought a because I made like an extra $600 like by snapping pictures of the receipts I'm getting anyways by going to those
Right.
stores Or I just cashed in another thing of fetch points and got an extra like Amazon $60 gift card. And I'm like, well, that was how many presents, you know what I mean, for the holidays that I was able to
Yeah.
buy. $60 is $60. Like I'm, you know.
And even if you're only, because there's a lot of people I know who are only doing like 2 grand every payout. But hey, we get 2 payouts. That's 4 grand. Like 4 grand a month can take you, even if you're not putting it back in the business, if you're paying bills, if it's going towards vacation, like
Yeah.
that's a good like dent.
Savings. Like,
And yeah, even savings. And honestly, that's why I will never stop, because it's like even I mean at this point in my life I feel like I've kind of pretty much cut back to half-time or part-time, but like I will still never stop, because like that extra money goes a long way. Like we have so many trips planned this year, and I'm like, hey, well, even if this money only goes towards like money to spend on these trips or to do like what we want to do, then hey, like that's extra money we didn't have, So
well, and
yeah.
there's people that have this business that they literally like just travel and then they let
Yeah.
loose. And then, you know, so I keep telling my husband that I go, guess what our retirement plan is? Me still doing this because we can keep traveling. And
Yep.
then I'm going to the store. Like one day you go hang out at the beach and I'm going to go hit
Yeah.
all the Targets or the local mom and pop shops and buy stuff and shove it in a box and ship it out. Like maybe then that's when I switch to doing all WFS and FBA. And then I'm not having a merchant ship. Like,
Anything. Yeah.
and guess what? That's going to be paying for our, you know what I mean? Like, okay, it's not
Yeah.
$1 million, but it's doing what we need
Yeah.
it to do. So
And I
that's
feel like everybody can do this,
oh
like
yeah,
this level.
Yes.
I look at big numbers and I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. But what I do with Walmart, I'm like, anyone could do this. I actually looked at my numbers. I know, don't be surprised, but I looked at my actual numbers and was like, I'm turning like freaking 2 breads, 2 fish, and what's the 5 loaves?
Yeah.
I'm feeding a lot of people with that. And
Yeah.
really impressed with my numbers because I'm doing clearance. So I was thinking anyone could actually do this. I mean, you really need like $500 to really make it happen each month. And I love that. I love being able to give people an option that actually is attainable. It's
yeah.
not just hype. I think that's
Yeah.
important, to be honest. Don't leave your job, leave your husband. Don't leave your job. I think I need a shirt. Don't leave your job, leave your husband, resell on Walmart.
Oh God.
Oh my god, we should wear those to the next Walmart summit. I'm sure they just love us coming in.
I think that was a good conversation
Yeah.
about probably a much needed one at this point in time,
Well, I
just
feel
with
like, you know, end
everybody.
of the year, it's just like you need to regroup and kind of refocus and stuff. And I just feel like I'm seeing all these new, you know, content creators with their thirst traps and the whatever. And I'm like, you're not selling. Like, and I just, I love it. I love it all. Cool. Well, thank you guys for joining us today, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
Right.